There we go, that's a cheat, isn't it? So this is the product, which I'm going to talk about, but you can see it here. There we go. So, here's the first slide. Behind me here, we've got a picture of the Great Exhibition of 1851. Now that was a time when engineers, entrepreneurs, manufacturers and designers were all working together to pioneer new markets with new products. The Royal Commission of 1851 is here to inspire us to be more like the people then, because there's many myths surrounding now what is possible in terms of design and manufacture. The biggest myth, I believe, is that there are two worlds. There's the old world of manufacture and production, and the new world, the new economy of creative industries, and that those two worlds are very separate and they can't work together. There's phrases like, we will write it and they will print it. And I think that that type of thinking is very destructive. And for the past 5 years, I've been working on this product to take it to market and to get it through production, and I've shown that you can bridge that gap, and that many other people are, and that in doing so, you can be very productive and fruitful for the world. And I've been dispelling many of the myths that are around. The first one being, it's impossible for a student to turn their design project into a commercial reality. Many people think you need to have a design professional involved if you're going to be able to take something to market and to develop it appropriately. Well, this is me 5 years ago at the Royal College of Art with my then concept of a pull-out room divider, using a bent back tape measure on the top and on the bottom so that you can have a screen that you pull in and out. This is the product now. It's a portable, retractable room divider, as you see here, and we're selling it to hospitals all over the world. It's improving the lives of patients, it's helping hospitals save lives, and it's also saving them a lot of money. But I won't go into that. Instead, this is about the process. And importantly, myself, as the designer and inventor, I've been central to this process throughout, working with the production and the design, and also right through to sales. And I think the important thing about being focused on sales is that means that you understand the users, you understand how the product is being used, and that means you can make sure that you're making the most appropriate product all the time. Another myth is people say you can't develop a product without raising finance or licensing the idea. Now, it's very true that to develop a product, it's difficult, because at the early stages, you need to spend money and time developing the product before you get any money from selling it. And therefore, the idea of financing is obviously one that people fall into. And that means you get money when you need it. The problem is, you then have to give up some of your company, and you have someone who has maybe a different agenda. They want returns from their money that might not fit in with the time frame of developing the product. Excuse me. So that can create a conflict. Also, I think more importantly than this, at the early stages, when you have a gem of an idea, you as the inventor, you should be thinking about how you can solve the core problems in that idea to turn it into a reality. Instead, if you end up raising finance, you have to spend your time selling the idea, flowering it up and talking about all the possibilities of it, and then you set yourself up potentially for failure if you can't achieve those targets that you've addressed. So the other idea is licensing. Now this could be perfect, because now you're the person with the idea, you find the person with the capabilities to make it and sell it, and together you have a beautiful marriage. And the problem is, I think the analogy could be more like having a child and putting it up for adoption. Here, you have your beautiful child that you love and you've nurtured, and you need somebody else to do something with it, and they're unlikely to care as much as you about your product. They're not going to understand where your product came from, and they're therefore maybe not going to be able to nurture it and grow it and to develop it and iterate it in the way that inevitably you're going to have to do when you take a product to market. So what we did was we prototyped on a shoestring. We saw what the core problems of the product were and addressed them one at a time and made money as we could go along. Now, the first core problem was being able to scale this little tabletop prototype up into something large, and that meant using this technology called roller tube. This wasn't easy to do. These are our first prototypes. You can see that some of them are rather ugly. They were very expensive, but they did prove the point. They proved that you could make a retractable screen that was 2 meters high and 3 meters wide. And importantly, we got the NHS to buy these first prototypes, and that meant we could fund ourselves in the early stages. Another misconception is that UK manufacture is too expensive. You need to get things made in China. Now, yes, it's true, in China, wage costs are about a tenth of what they are here. So it's a very compelling idea. However, there's many other associated costs with manufacturing abroad, and I think the most significant one is time. When you're developing a product, you need to be in the factory with them as they're making it. That would mean I would have to fly over to wherever it is that the factories are to work with the people that are designing and developing the product. I'd then have to order in probably larger batches that would take longer to get to me. And this is another significant thing that would slow down that R&D phase at the beginning of a product-based company, that actually that's the most costly thing, is the time it takes you to have a product that you can be selling. So what we did is we focused on designing and manufacturing in the UK. That meant that within a week, we could have a prototype that the factory had made, take it to a hospital, trial it, get feedback, go back to the factory, change it, and then go to hospitals and get more feedback. That meant we could quickly improve the product and end up with fundamentally a better product. We then had a really good relationship with our manufacturers, whereby we're obviously benefiting from the relationship with them because they're making the product, but they're also learning from us as designers and innovators in how they can be creative as well. So that relationship was strong, and it also forces us, because we're not basing our strategy on low-cost manufacture, to make sure that we're designing for manufacture. So we're designing the best possible product. So then we had a product, and we needed to sell it. And we knew that this product was helpful because many people had told us that it was really helpful in the trials that we had. But common thinking was, you can't sell a new product to the NHS. You can't sell it on your own. So we thought, well, we have to learn about what is involved in selling. And we spoke to people that are selling, just to learn what it is that they're doing, what's the trick. And in fact, selling is just about telling your story. It's just about meeting people, listening to what they've got to say, listening to their problems, understanding their problems, and then telling them your story and seeing if there's a mismatch, seeing if there's a fit. And in fact, that's very similar to user-centered design, all of the things that I'd learned when I was in college. And in order to do this, well, you need drive, you need passion, enthusiasm, energy, you need a focus, you need drive, and I say literally you need to drive because you've got to go all around the country to meet all of these nurses. And you need a lot of hard work. And in fact, when we looked inside our company, we saw this is all that we have. We only have that passion and energy and hard work. So we went about trying selling it ourselves. And when the nurses found out that the sales rep that was in their ward was actually the inventor and someone who was thinking of going on Dragon's Den, it added a nice little edge to it and maybe helped us with our sales. So in the first 18 months, we managed to get 40 NHS trusts to adopt this new product. And now we've got the ball rolling and we've got a lot of hospitals using it. Now we're able to get one of the largest furniture suppliers to the NHS to start selling the product on our behalf. And that means we can focus on the other markets, the other places where a retractable room divider that you can print on would be useful. And these include, as well as hospitals, schools, universities, exhibitions, libraries, gyms, restaurants, hotels, conference centers, venues, care homes, dentists, all sorts of places. And we believe, unlike the myth that says that only large companies can sell, we believe that we would be best suited to pioneer these markets as we have done with the NHS. And now the holy grail is about exporting, because with a product-based business, it's very difficult to get it started. But once you've got something that you're making and you've protected and you've found an application for it, well, then there's no reason why that can't go everywhere. And literally, the world is your oyster. And this is the excitement, is that you can really scale and make a big impact on the world. We've set up international distribution agreements now. Whether we will be protected or get ripped off, we'll have to wait and see. But to be honest, I think that because we understand the market so well and we're going to keep ahead in terms of innovation, hopefully we'll be able to fend off anybody that tries to come and compete. So I'd like to end by saying I really think that now is a brilliant time for people to start up product-based innovative companies. In a recession, people say it's often good to start. There's no longer the jobs out there, the great jobs in the city that paid amazingly and were really easy. And it's now considered cool, or at least acceptable, to work for a startup. There's a lot of entrepreneurial schemes that the government are supporting. The government recognizes the need for manufacture. And I can tell you from my perspective, it's the most incredibly rewarding, challenging, and fun thing that you could do. So I don't know if I can open up to the audience, but I can sort of see. Who here is an engineer? I imagine there's a few of you. And which of you engineers are thinking of going to work in the city? Ah, you're all too shy. Some of you must be. Well, you can imagine what I'm going to say. I really would urge you to think about putting your abilities into something that's constructive and productive and creative, creating products and wealth and jobs that we need instead of playing with the money that other people have made. Unless you work for, anyway. And who here is a designer? So I imagine there's a few designers. Well, hey, so I'm a designer. I'm also an engineer. Proud of being a designer and an engineer. For the designers, I would say focus on, it's very easy, or it's compelling for a designer to design things that other designers you gain respect from. Things that get you into magazines and win competitions and art galleries and etc. But really, I think the value in being a designer is to make products that people will actually use. In doing so, you're going to have to make compromises inevitably. But really, that's what it's all about. What is the point in designing something if it's never going to be made into reality? So then finally, who here is, has an idea that they want to turn into reality and they're working on? I imagine there's a few of you, and maybe there's some ideas in the back of your head. My advice for you would be go for it. It's a brilliant thing to do, but be wary of what I think many people do, which is fall into the trap of just packaging up their idea. This is the low-hanging fruit. The easy thing to do is to sell your idea and sell the dream, when really you should be making your dream a reality. And I think if you're the designer, the engineer, or the person with the idea, you should put yourself in the center of the process. Make sure you understand all the components so that you can drive the product or the business in the direction that it needs to go. And if there's anyone here who I haven't alienated and you're still engaged and excited about working on entrepreneurship and startup and innovation, then please get in touch, because we want to expand and do what we've done with QuickScreen and a number of other products. And to do that, we need bright, smart engineers and designers working with us. So get in touch. Thank you very much.